Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Unmuted and Unbothered. It is time to take the mic, you guys. I have been just loving the conversations we've been having over the past few weeks, and I'm so excited for today's conversation with my soul sister, Brittany. And I have so many amazing soul sisters in my circle, and I will keep bringing them all to you front and center because these conversations are just meant to live and breathe and show the magic that is there. And so today is going to be nothing short of amazing with Brittany from Blackwell Media Solutions. And I'm just so excited to get this party started. This has been a beautiful, fiery day, so let's get Britt in here and hopefully get the party started. There she is, Brittany. Hey, girl.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
So good. Today's just been such a fiery, inside-out kind of day.
Right? I feel that. It's been that way for me out here, too, so.
I love it. Well, I'm so glad you're here, and why don't we just start by sharing a little bit about yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you and what you do.
Sure. So I am Brittany. If we haven't met, I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, which means I'm a little bit all over the place doing all the things. I'm an Army wife. I'm a homeschool mom. I have a virtual assistant business that I started a few years ago after leading a 12-step ministry for a while. And then last year I realized, man, my heart is really in coaching. I want to be in coaching. And so I have shifted my focus. I've started a new trauma-informed 12-step program that is working to help people overcome their hardships and their small traumas. And then I have my coaching business, Unpacking Us, where again, it's a lot of the same stuff, not meant to replace therapy. It's meant to be the bridge between the sessions to help with that little extra oomph, and in a more personal way than a therapist is legally allowed to provide. So
yeah,
that's kind of in a nutshell. That is really me trying to squeeze and condense a lot.
That is her by the book label. She is way so much more than that, y'all. She does this beautiful work called parts work. And parts work has become such a powerful part of mindset development and transformation for our circle of sisters. And it's all because Brittany taught us all how to talk to ourselves and the world from the inside out. And it all comes from this concept of parts work. So Brittany, I want them to hear a little bit about this magic of what parts work is and just introduce them a little bit to that.
Yeah, sure. So parts work is kind of this really big concept that gets really complicated, but it doesn't need to be. All it is, it's identifying that every person is made up of different pieces, meaning we all have a bunch of different thoughts. We have a bunch of different memories, experiences. These are all parts of us. But we also have this unique self or soul. I describe it as the person you are designed to be. So if you're around toddlers very much, there's this really sweet spot between 18 months and about 2 years old where we start to see babies leave baby phase and start developing their own personalities, but they haven't quite entered that rebellious phase where they've processed traumas or they're testing the limits.
Yeah.
That is the purest example of self.
Yeah.
And we all have it, but we learn through climbing on things and getting scolded, falling and getting hurt, being fun and loud and then being shamed for it. We learn how to shield and protect and hide these parts of ourselves for acceptance and approval.
Yep.
Parts work, the way that I do it, is all about identifying those parts and learning how to get back to that true self, that person you were always supposed to be had you never gotten hurt, had you never gone through anything painful, and learning to live that way out loud.
Yeah. And the power of what happens when you learn to live that way out loud, like that moment that you decide to say yes to your design and how God created you to show up to the world. Like, there has been so much magic in learning this. Even for me, it started before I even met Brittany. I was going through a therapy journey and I was learning a little bit, just a little like surface level about parts work and identifying parts within that speak and have a voice and have an identity. And then when I met Britt inside of a coaching container we were in together, she really helped me dive a little bit deeper and come to a deeper core and understanding of who my parts were and what parts speak when, and how to have that deeper conversation and peel back the layers and honor the feelings of those parts and pieces of self. And often the parts that are trying to speak, guys, are the parts that everybody has silenced for years. The parts that everybody said was too loud, too playful, too creative, too colorful, whatever it is that you've heard, don't do this or don't do that, or you can't show up like this and you can't show up like that. Brittany has shown me in our sisterhood how to unmute those silenced parts of self and really bring them into everything we do, and have an honor and a respect for those voices that are within. So Brett, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so it actually starts before parts work. There's a journey that we have to go on in learning who we are. We have to raise our self-awareness, and then one step further, we have to learn to love ourselves before we're able to start addressing these parts. Because if we don't, these parts will start to freak out and we won't know how to help them.
Oh, yeah.
And then we spiral and we burn out, right?
Yeah.
So,
and Sarah, for me, it's the parts I learned to ignore.
yes, that is such a big way that they can come up. And I like to talk about how this comes up, because it's different for every person, and it can sometimes be different for every part. Sometimes we feel it somatically, like it's a tightness in the chest, it's a lump in the throat, butterflies in the stomach. Other times it's thoughts, and the thoughts can come up in our own voice, or sometimes it can sound like something totally different. It's all still us. And just learning. The reason why we have to know who we are is because we have to know that self piece, so that we can identify, is it self or is it parts? The reason we have to know how to love ourselves is so that we can meet our parts that others told us were too much, that we need to ignore, that we put aside. Yeah. But we can start to approach them and say, hey, I love even you.
Yeah.
That's really where the power is, especially when we can say that to the parts that maybe we don't like, but we love.
Yeah.
Because love doesn't mean we can't change.
Right.
It just means I'm not going to shame myself. I'm not going to hate myself for this part. I'm going to love this part. And in love, we're also going to get better.
Yeah. That part right there, in love, we're going to get better, because it's often this, like for me, what I realized is that my anxiety, my depression, my panic was actually all because I was silencing a part of myself who was manifesting in those conditions. And she was manifesting because I continually silenced her and her truth and what she was feeling. And when I started doing parts work in therapy, I really started to identify her voice and hear how that was triggering and activating my anxiety and my depression and my panic attacks. And it would be so real that I would like just not function for days at a time, because she was so paralyzed in her fear of what was, and she didn't realize and hadn't heard or came to the truth of what is and how it's different now. And I had to learn to talk to her, my mini me, and let her know, hey, it's not like this anymore. We're not going through that anymore. I'm not putting you through that trauma that we experienced then. It's different now, and let me show you.
Yes, that reparenting piece is so essential. So really with my clients, we go through a 3-phase process. The first phase is learning that self-awareness, self-love. The second phase is learning how to communicate in healthy ways and how to set boundaries. So it's all about the tools we need so that when we meet these parts, the ones that are showing up with anxiety, we can say, hey, in love, this is not what we do. We don't respond this way. Like sometimes parts can trigger us or tempt us to do really harmful things. And when we get to talking with them and like really working with them, we come to find out that it's wanting us to do these really awful, harmful things because it thinks that that's a way to help us. And if we can meet them in love and then reteach them some of our healthy coping skills, then they shift and then they become a really helpful part that helps us live out loud in big, bold, unmuted ways.
Yeah. And I love this because we've been dealing with a part for the last probably year and some change since we've met each other that was screaming at us that we, you know, and it's the part of the rules.
Oh,
you got
yes.
you got to follow the rules. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to show up like this and follow this framework and follow this methodology and be in this niche or be in this corner. And we were screaming. We were screaming at the top of our lungs with frustration as we sat in front of our computers trying to build our businesses, living under the pressure of the lie that we had to fit in some box or be silenced in our truth because somebody else's doctrine said it was the way.
Yes. And that's really often what happens. We live our lives based on somebody else's rules and then we burn out. We become really frustrated. We're in a job that we hate with friends that we're like, I don't really even like the same things that you like. And we're like, what is going on? And then we realize, oh man, I've stuck myself in a box and I've learned to shape myself to this box instead of breaking the doggone box and being who I was designed to be.
That part.
That's my like whole goal in life. Just live loud, live authentically, be me. And that's like fully what I try and help people do all the time.
And let's talk a little bit about this breaking of the box and living loud and how our parts play into that, because there's a lot of moments where we're making these bold moves that go against standards that other people set that said we had to fit in this said box of rules, yet our sisterhood has spent the last year busting these boxes, methodologies, theologies that the industry calls religion. And we've been breaking them wide open, having the most success because we were listening to our parts speak and our soul. And we became soul aligned to our businesses versus just being industry aligned.
Right. You know how people talk about you need to market your business authentically, but then they don't ever really say what the heck that means or how to figure out what authentic is.
Yes.
Parts work. That's it, right? Yeah. So you get in touch with self. But then, like you mentioned, when we start to break the box, some of our parts are not going to like that very much. And what then? Yeah. What do we do? Well, we have to learn the balance in this game of pushing ourselves outside of the box without going so far that we spiral.
Yeah, that part.
So this is where I tell my clients, learn to hang out with your parts without doing parts work.
Yeah.
So when my clients get to the parts work phase, the first thing I have them do is build a safe space. Mine looks like a house that all my parts can live in or just come to hang out in. And having that safe space where about once a week, I will just meditate. That's really all it looks like, is meditation to anybody else. But in my head, I'm in my safe house, just sitting on the couch, waiting for my parts to come and hang out. As we build a relationship, they learn to trust me a little bit more so that when we step outside of our box, they're like, okay, she's got us. Like, I'm not comfortable with this. And that for me tends to come up in like heart flutters or a chest tightness.
Okay.
It can be different for everybody. That's just, I'm a very heart-centered person, so a lot of my somatic feelings come from there. But that is really helpful because our parts need to learn to trust us
Yeah.
because they became separate parts through distrust, learning that they can't trust us to protect them. And so just developing a relationship can help us really break that box.
Well, and we had to go through parts work even in our sisterhood. Like as we all came together through an event on a weekend and we started this group chat, and this group chat has evolved into just this most gorgeous circle of friends. But we had to learn to talk to our parts that were wounded and had sister wounding and friendship wounding and that fear and like, can I trust these women? Can I share myself with them without fear of judgment or competition? Are they going to steal my ideas? Are they going to encourage me? Are they going to discourage me? We went through literally we've dove into those parts. I don't know how many times in our journey over the last year, but and it's hard to believe that it's already been a year,
right?
We all came together, and that it's only been a year.
Exactly. No, I feel like I have known you guys my whole life. That's how close we are because we do this tough stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes back to self-trust. Like when our parts can learn to trust us, then we can enter these spaces and say, okay, I trust Heather. I trust these sisters. So I'm going to say the thing that feels so scary, but I trust them enough that I can say,
yeah.
I'm scared to say this.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking. And everybody just has met and responded with such love and grace. And like really often we don't believe the same things,
Yeah.
which is kind of almost more beneficial to me because we get different perspectives.
Yeah.
And then we get the chance to go back and say, okay, what is in alignment with me?
Yeah.
And then decide for ourselves how to move forward.
And then we also get to see our friends' parts speaking and talk, and see where their hurt is and where their parts are speaking. And we all speak to each other's parts so delicately. Like we respect and honor and love. And Sarah says, what the what? Like seriously, so short, but awesome. Like it does. It feels like each other for a lifetime. But really, that is the magic of having aligned community in your life and sisterhood, and allowing yourself, because we had to allow ourselves to open up the boxes that were old wounds around sisterhood, around connection, around community. And we had to learn to trust each other. We had to learn that each other was really truly a friend and not just a colleague, and was really there to see and foster our growth and our development in our business as we all grew together, as we pushed each other outside of our parts and outside of our boxes, and actually pushed each other to go within and build our businesses from within, in the magic that we found that lived there outside of all the rules, outside of all the doctrine, methodology, get rich quick scheme BS that's out there. We found this magic that's been showing up that has propelled us beyond any program or coaching that we've ever had.
Yes.
And it's so cool.
Yeah. Yes. And it does all come from within. Like that was the first thing that made me really fall in love with the sisterhood was we, like you said, we were all in this container and it was a great container. Yeah. But we were all like, man, like something's just not clicking. And one person said, you know what? I'm going to break all the rules and I'm just going to listen to myself. And I get that that's going to be slower growth than what the professionals are teaching us, but it's going to be more aligned. And so I'm just going to do it. And I was like, good for you. I'm going to watch. I'm going to keep doing what they tell me to do because I don't know, but I'm going to keep my eye on you. And she soared. Like it was just beautiful to see. And that inspired me to say, oh, wait, I can do this too. And we each just started to say, oh, let's just turn inward, because this is really the piece that I think we get so wrong as society. We don't need to learn more.
Right.
We need to listen more. And I don't mean listen to everybody else. Listen to the messages that are coming in.
Yeah.
What are you already thinking? What is coming into your awareness? What are you feeling? What excites you? Lean into those things.
Yeah.
That's when you soar. And you have fun doing it. And so then it doesn't feel like work.
Right. Because we were in this tension around our businesses, right? Where we were just feeling, like gross. We had this gross energy about showing up and being there and being live and like doing all the things that the industry said we had to do, post 3 times a day and follow this schedule, and you're going to be this and you're going to be that. And yet we found ourselves so burnt out, so broke, so tired, so overwhelmed, so like, is this really the dream? Because if it is, I'm going back to a 9 to 5 because it's the same thing. It's the same grind. There's not that freedom, that time, energy, freedom. But then this sister of ours who found this magic and flow and energy and put it on display for the world to see. And it directly went against everything that we were ever taught. But the net of watching that unfold, the beauty of watching that journey unfold, and then saying, yeah, I want that too.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
That's the dream.
Right. And to me, the mind-blowing piece is that it just all comes from within. One of the rules that I really struggled with, and this, I say rules really, really loosely, is whether or not to talk about my faith on my personal page.
Oh, girl, come on. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Gosh.
I'm so ready for this conversation.
The piece for me, like if you hop over to my Facebook profile right now, you're going to see a lot of Jesus stuff there. But I struggled with it because that is its own box for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that box. I don't want my brand to be the judgmental Christian junk because that's not who I am. And so I tried really hard to talk about healing and love and all the things and just leave Jesus out of it unless somebody asked. Girl, then I realized every time we would hop on a Zoom call, somehow I would direct the conversation back there until finally I was like, you know what? This is just who I am. I don't want to be a brand. I just want to be Brittany.
Yeah.
Being Brittany means I talk about God. And if that bothers you, well, that hurts me that I'm hurting you. But if I don't talk about that, I'm not being authentic. And that's not fair to me.
Yep.
And that's not healthy for our relationship. No. So if it hurts you, number one, I hope you talk to me about it. And so we can hash it out. But if you don't feel comfortable talking, that's on you. I'm ready to talk about it when you're ready. And that's really where the whole let them thing came from for me.
Okay, I'm going to poke a little fun. I love Mel Robbins. But before Mel Robbins launched her book, Let Them, Brittany brought Let Them into our sisterhood circle, and it became such a powerful, and I will live and die on this hill the rest of my days on screen, the power of Let Them. That is your bulletproof vest. That is your first layer of ripping off the tape that is muting you and your truth and preventing you from your next. Your next is waiting for you, but you have to learn the power of Let Them beyond the surface level of what society is saying it is. It is so much deeper than that. There is an unapologetic truth, and I'm going to let Brittany unpack this because she taught me this.
Okay, so I have to do a disclaimer about it and say I don't know much about Mel Robbins. I had no idea she had a book until about a month ago when I'm scrolling Audible just trying to use up all my credits, and I was like, oh look, Let Them, here we go, I'll save that one. Still haven't listened to it. So my version of Let Them, I really couldn't even tell you exactly how it came to me other than to call it a divine revelation. Because Let Them came to me, well, let me say it this way first. Culture talks about Let Them in an almost offensive way, like let them, whatever, let them do it, let them, whatever. let them, for me, came to me when I was learning who I was and learning to love who I was regardless.
Yeah.
And it came to me this way. If somebody comes up to me and says, Brittany, you're a boy, am I going to get mad? No, I'm not a boy. I know I'm not a boy. I'm going to say, what made you think I'm a boy? Because I'm not, but I'm not mad. I'm not offended because
Yeah.
I know who I am. So if that person continues to say, you're a boy, fine, let them. I know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't need your approval. I don't need you to understand me. And this gets really hard as a brand.
Yeah.
Because we do need to be clear and honest, but at the same time, when people misunderstand us, let them.
Yeah.
Because you know who you are, you know the mission of your brand, keep going forward. And you will attract the people who understand you.
Right.
Like
that part.
It's just, for me, let them is not a sassy attack. Like I've heard some people describe it.
Right.
For me,
Yeah.
let them is a freedom key for me to live my life.
That right there, a freedom key. I want you all to hear that loud and clear. It is a freedom key. It is the peeling of the duct tape, because when you can look and let someone have their thought, their idea, their opinion, and know that it is the truth they see in their head of you, for you, but that you personally do not need to subscribe to their truth of you, for you, you become so bulletproof, because it no longer emotionally affects your parts, because you're not choosing to subscribe to the definition, the label, the opinion, the thought, the idea that they are throwing at you. You are no longer subscribing to that. You're taking that subscription, tearing it up, throwing it in the trash, saying, great, that's fine. You're welcome to have that thought, idea, or opinion, but you are not welcome to make that the definition of me. I am not subscribing to that subscription that you're placing on my life, that label that you're slapping on me. No, bye, Felicia. So when you learn that, and you can kick her to the curb, that mean girl to the curb, and her voice, or a mean guy, when you can kick that to the curb and it stops having power, and you detach from it emotionally, you and your parts detach from it, that's when you start to show up in what we call the unapologetic, authentic self, where you get to be you. You get to share all of your truth, all of your parts, all of your pieces. And let me be clear, you deserve to share every part of you that you feel the world needs to see. You deserve, and let me repeat it, you deserve, not what the industry says you should share, okay? Because when we silence our truth, we lose our power, we lose our potency, we lose our magic, we lose our anointing, okay? If you want to talk in terms that God gave us a voice, God gave us a power. There's a power within us. There's a truth within us. There's a story within us that the world needs to hear. And there's a woman on this screen waiting for you to move to that next, so that she has the hope to take the first step.
And I know there's somebody watching this who just heard in their thoughts, but Heather, you don't know who I am. You don't know my past. You don't know what I've been through. I do deserve this level of junk that I've got. To whoever it is that just heard that pop in their head, number one, that's a part. That is not who you were designed to be. This is an example of a part that you get to love and reteach that you are worthy, because you are, because you're alive, because you're breathing, because all of humanity has worth, period. It's worth is not a earned thing. It is a innate, I have breath in my lungs, I have worth. I hate like it will make me say horrible words here. I hate that people, whether directly or indirectly, have taught others that worth is not a thing that they have or that they deserve. Ugh, drives me crazy because, friend, we all have worth because we are, period.
Yes, you are worthy. You are enough just as you are. Do not feel like you have to be a Heather or a Brittany. Do not feel like you have to have it all together to show up in this industry. We are building a new way. We are being a remnant of sorts in the coaching industry that shows up unapologetically as they are. We're not trying to compartmentalize ourselves into categories or niches, because God didn't create us to be one-dimensional. God created us multi-passionate, multi-dimensional. We have beautiful, creative, neurodiverse brains that are full of ideas, thoughts, and concepts that God is birthing within us. He is birthing, and he is waiting for you to step into your God-given inheritance, the voice he gave you, the truth he gave you, the identity he gave you. And yet we let other people shape our doctrine by their truth, not by truth. And often that silences us, that boxes us up, that cages us, that puts the duct tape over our mouth, that says, I can't share that about my belief in religion. I can't talk about crystals, or I can't talk about tarot, or I can't talk about whatever number of taboo topics that you may feel fit outside of a certain framework or box. But one thing I love about our sisterhood is we're all different backgrounds. We're all different beliefs. We're all different ideologies and theologies. And yet we all come together in this circle, and we come to the table unapologetically ourselves every day, and we respect each other's belief, and we hear each other's perspective, and we challenge it at times, right? And we wrestle, and we dive into these parts, because we've all been wounded by these methodologies and theologies that have been placed on us, whether it's in, coaching construct or a religious construct or just instructional teaching education construct. We constantly are challenging belief and view, and in a respectful way, where it makes you think of a different perspective and have a different understanding and a different respect for things that you didn't understand before, because a certain set of rules said you can't touch that.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Something that's been brought to my attention lately is this idea that the people we are around are mirrors of ourselves. They're reflections of ourselves. And when I first heard it, I was like, what? Because I immediately thought of our sisterhood, and I was like, we are all very different, like really different on paper. However, I see myself in each one of our sisters.
Yeah.
And that means there's something I can learn from everybody. And so, like, my challenge to anybody listening is look at who's in your life, look who you're close to, and then see what it is that about them that you are connected to. And is it a good thing? Is it something you love? Or are you connected because they give you approval? Because if that's the connection, that relationship is going to turn toxic if it isn't already. Get approval from yourself.
Yeah.
Then you can go to your friends and say, am I being delusional? And side note, it's okay if you are, from my perspective. If it helps you survive, hey, survive. But it is a beautiful thing to look at the people around you, look at the situations around you, and know that sometimes what I need to learn, I'm actually seeing in these people that I love, because it's far easier to love other people than it is to love ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I can do that, then it really turns and helps.
It does. And it's funny how one person's lesson becomes everybody's lesson. One person's struggle becomes an awareness of the struggle within each of us that we each have, that we're each struggling through. And it showed us and proved to us and gave us the beautiful truth that you're not alone in the struggle.
Right.
You're not alone
Right.
in the journey. Like the feelings you feel are natural, they're real, they're they need to be honored. They need to be talked about and discussed. The reason we have all propelled to the places we propelled to is because whenever we have a moment where we're struggling, we're running to our sisterhood and saying, guys, I can't do this one on my own. I need your input here. I need your advice here. I need your tough love here. I come knowing that my sisters are not just gonna sugarcoat things. And my life is super blessed to have multiple circles like this, where and multiple communities like this, where that level of transparency, where we're not just living from the outside in, we're living from the inside out.
Right. And I will be the first to say it's not easy. Like, please don't hear us talk about how excited we are about this and think, oh, it's supposed to be easy. It's not. Like, I think it was just last week. I was like, hey, guys, I've disappeared because I'm in a funk and I'm struggling to just even show up and let you guys know that I'm overwhelmed and not okay. Like, it's a challenge to get out of outside of ourselves and start to take up space, because we talk about taking up space in these big fun ways. Be loud with your brand, be bold, like be yourself, but also be loud in your pain, be loud in your healing. Like that's how we work through these things faster. Really. Okay. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm in college for behavioral science with the emphasis on trauma. Trauma work is like my love. The single best protection against lasting trauma is emotional support. But what do we do when we go through something painful? We put up the walls, we close the doors, pull the curtains, nobody look, wait till I get myself back together, then I'll come back out and everything will be okay. But that's actually the thing that keeps us stuck in pain. Heal out loud, like tell everybody. And yes. And I know we have all seen people who are spreading their drama on their Facebook statuses and all the things. And we're like, okay, what is happening here? I understand there's a fine line between healing out loud and just bleeding all over everybody and spreading drama.
That part.
But find what that line is for you. And if you're doing it with a closed, safe group, like posting to your Facebook wall all your life's drama is going to share it with people who are not safe people.
Right.
Sharing it with safe people, that's how you heal.
Well, and I think you did it beautifully out loud. And let me give you guys an example. If you go over to Brittany's page, and Brittany just recently found out that her and her husband and they got their newest assignment. And Brittany's been talking about this for a few months about the anxiety that's been causing, in her and her family. And they got the answer they were waiting for, but that answer came with some hesitation. And I love how you took one person's or several persons' questions and you brought it into this post of like, well, am I scared of going back to the Bible about? Absolutely. And here's why. And you brought us into that moment with you where it's a journey. You're still on this journey of unpacking. And that was where the packing began. It's where you got put in your box. And I think it's crazy that God is leading you there, because God did the same thing for me. I was uprooted from Vegas,
right,
where I built my life, to come back into the box that had silenced me all along. And yet I found my greatest healing in this journey of being back here where it all began. And actually, because in a sense, we ran from it, right? And that's the scary part, is being called back into Pandora's box. And actually, hi, Adam. And actually seeing those parts and pieces that were unhealed still and need work. And I'm so grateful that I have the emotional support of my grandfather. He has navigated through so much with me, especially when it comes through the family lens of things. And the respect that I have for my grandfather's perspective that I didn't see and even consider about my mom's, like in my relationship with my mom and the parts and pieces there and where her conditioning and boxing came from. And we don't often think about that when we're placing blame, right? When we're frustrated, when we're hurt, when we're speaking from that place of hurt. So to have that emotional support, I agree, is so, and having you guys to lean on, and having my sister sit with me as I cry my freaking eyes out about how frustrated I am about where I'm at in life and what I'm going through and what I'm feeling and not feeling heard, not being seen, not being felt. And to have my sister sit there on the phone with me for 5 hours while my parts were screaming.
Yeah.
That part right there.
Right.
Was the game-changing moment for me that said, these are my real sisters. These are my real friends who are going to walk through hell and brimstone with me while my parts are screaming.
Yes, absolutely. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you find those relationships? Like, how does it start? How do you identify this is a person that I think I can trust?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it starts with being brave and going to places that you may be afraid to go to and seeing how it plays out. And learning if that's a circle you can trust, and learning if these are people you can confide in, or are you going to get torn down? Are you being criticized? Are they talking about you behind your back? Are things coming back to you? Because here's the thing, we don't do that in our sisterhood. We don't talk behind each other's backs. We don't tear each other down. We're not competitors with each other. We're constantly there reaching back to pull the other person forward, no matter how far we are. I think that it's learning to trust the parts that are screaming and scared and saying, you know what, we're going to try this and we're going to go here and we're going to have this discussion, because we had to have some deep discussions to start with to really start to peel and unpack those layers in our friendships. And the dynamic with each sister is different, but all together is beautiful. But there's so many different dynamics with different entities within the sisterhood. And so I think it just comes down to knowing that you can trust these people with anything you bring to the table. I know I can call Brittany or Sarah or Kim or Cheryl or Marie day or night.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be there when I need them the most. And I have a few people I can count on my hand up until this point that I know I can call to do that. But my life was starving for sisterhood. It was starving for a community that would not judge me, would not try to put me into a box, would not try to make me conform to something that innately my soul was screaming, this is not for you. I built a whole brand off of other people's thoughts, ideas, and opinions, other people's truth of me for me, and it got nowhere but stuck energy, in frustration. I was sitting there pulling my hair out of my head, crying at my computer week after week, asking, where's the sale? Where's my clients? Where's my tribe? Where's the success? But when I started to come from the inside out, and I started letting every part of me speak and every part of my truth that innately lives within me, that's when everything shifted. That's when the key to the freedom we had been seeking. And Sarah says, I've been there, done that, lost money and building it their way, right? We've all been there. People are wasting mortgage payments on a whole house on the wrong people, in the wrong system, in the wrong formula, in the wrong box of expectations that are going to make you question who you are. They're going to make you question whether or not you're qualified to do what you want to do. They're going to make you forget the dream you had all along when you started the journey. They're going to make you fit into a box that you were never born to live in. And what I love about my journey with the sisterhood and their brands and their business is that I didn't mute them in their silence. I didn't put more duct tape or red tape. I didn't put more expectations. I wanted them to become her. I wanted them to become the unapologetic, unfiltered, unmuted them, where their magic counted in the world, where their truth deserved to live. It took me and Brittany a better part of a year to get her to a point where she had a massive breakthrough, because that post about her going back to the Bible Belt, that's a long time coming.
Oh, yes.
Let's just talk about before this girl would mute her magic of her truth. But through the fostering of that truth and the growth of unmuting all the parts of her that were silenced, we did build a brand. But let me tell you what, your brand is not the industry.
No.
Your brand is not the niche. Your brand is not the colors. Your brand is not the visuals. Your brand is you. You are your brand. You are the magic. Do you know that there is a beautiful truth that lives inside of you? There's a solution that someone is looking for that is just a few steps behind you. And they're waiting for you to bring it. They're waiting for you to share it unapologetically. They're waiting for you to take what I like to call your seat at the table of abundance. And I will live and die by this statement. You have to stop playing at loss level and start playing at boss level. And boss level, real boss level, unapologetic boss level of abundance and living an abundant life is unapologetically sharing your truth, despite what other people think about your truth.
Oh, yeah.
We see it
absolutely
every single day. The reason certain leaders are leaders is because that right there. They live their unapologetic truth and they don't give a shit what anybody else thinks of their truth. They know there's an innate truth in whether or not we agree with it or not. They have this gut feeling in their soul and knocking at their heart that's like da-da, da-da, every single day, and it gets louder and it gets louder and it gets faster, because when we ignore our truth, it's our part, it's our child that's knocking at our heart saying, it's my turn, I want to speak, ma'am, hello, can I have the mic?
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to agree with everything that you said. And thank you for walking with me throughout the year as I figured out what branding looked like for me.
Right.
Because it started when we first talked about it. I was like, Heather, I've kind of got 3 brands. How do I do this?
Yeah.
I don't have time to run 3 separate brands. And I think you said in that very first call, well, just build a personal brand. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't work. And I went off and I did my own thing. And then I came back and I was like, all right, about that personal brand thing, tell me more. And you dove deeper into it with me. And that's when the idea of bringing this inside out, like Disney's Inside Out, into my business has come into my awareness. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to balance all 3 separate businesses as Disney's Inside Out, but I'm also not going to talk about Jesus in the process. And then it's like you said, it was just a year of coming back and being like, wait, hey, branding expert, does this work? And you're like, yes, because it's you. Like that piece where you don't force branding ideals on anybody, you pull it out of us. And that's what makes you the branding expert in my mind, because it's not, here, follow this 12-step plan and you're going to make $1 million. No, it's real. It's genuine. You help us build what we want to build. Like you just hold up the mirror and you're like, you're already doing it. Like, this is what it looks like. Here, let's clear out the shadows. Let's get the junk out of the way and just charge forward. Like you do it such out of words in a very, very beautiful way. And I'm very thankful for you.
And I think that that's what it is for so long, my magic was muted. in my journey. And branding is just a lens, you guys. Okay, it's one lens. I live in this lens because it allows me to be my creative, beautiful, authentic self, and show other people how to do that as well, how to bring that into their messaging, how to bring that into their colors. I was told for the longest time, you can't have pink in your brand, you can't have playful poppy graphics in your brand, you can't put this together and put that together and do this, it's going to confuse people. But guess what? I am becoming a thought leader and authority in my industry. I'm publishing in magazines with that brand that everybody said I couldn't have. So, and I'm getting ready to bring that brand to stages very soon. So it's very, I'm glad I shut the noise off of everybody else. And I'm so glad when I sit across from people who are stuck and muted, and I show them their magic. I don't know if Danielle's still here in the comments or not, but recently had a brainstorm with her, and she was told all the wrong things. She was told how to be muted and how to be silenced in her truth. And she had one call with me, my brainstorm, which, by the way, zero cost to you. The best call you can have for your brand or your business, if you're feeling stuck and looking for clarity and direction, I give that to you for free.
Seriously. And it's powerful. Good stuff.
And Brittany will tell you, like she said, it took her a better part of a year to dive deep into the concept that came through our brainstorm. And the biggest core piece, the power piece, was missing for her. And that piece for her is Jesus and her relationship with Spirit. And the Holy Spirit that lives within us. And Brittany and I are both, we're God-fearing women. We love Jesus. We love the Holy Spirit. And we bring that into our brands. A lot of people say, don't do that. Adam, you're stuck. We need to have a brainstorm, dude. For real.
Serious.
I will put the link in the comments later, and let's get on the call, because we will get you unstuck and unmuted and standing in your truth. I do this each and every day in so many ways, shapes, and forms. Thanks, Kim. We love you. And so it was just so cool to watch you have that round circle moment when we came back to the original ideology of what I knew a year ago. But I will never force something out of someone. I will only ever lead you to activate that in your time, in your divine time, not Heather's divine time or a system's divine time, but in Brittany's divine time or Sarah's divine time or God's divine time, most importantly. God, universe, power, spirit, energy, source, wherever your belief is in your creator, because we're super respectful of that.
Oh, yeah.
Brands is that it's divine time when the mic gets unmuted. And I've watched Britt struggle through what I knew for a year, but I wasn't going to force her. I wasn't going to push her. I gave her gentle nudges. Over time, I answered her questions when she came to me, and I do that for all my sisters and all my clients. Like, I'm not the coach that's going to silence you in the idea that you have. I'm going to lead you through that idea so that it can live to its fullest potential, so that it can step out and breathe. And maybe it'll fail, maybe it won't.
Right. But failure isn't failure like we think about it.
Come on.
Like, failure is always a learning opportunity. So we only fail if we stop and we don't learn. Yeah. Like, that's the only way that we can fail. If we stop doing something because it's not working, that doesn't mean we failed. Let's talk about, why is it not working? Yes. What can I learn? And we're going to take those lessons and apply it to our next thing. We're not going to stop living our life. We're not going to stop being entrepreneurs. Like, once an entrepreneur, that energy, that mindset, that lifestyle, it's part of you for forever. So if you fail, you didn't fail. If you quit a business, what did you learn in that business? What can you take to the next phase, whatever it is? Yep. And then keep moving forward. Yeah. Just don't get stagnant in your life, because stagnant water is gross water. Only gross things happen when things stop moving. So just keep going
Yeah.
in not perfect ways,
Yeah.
just progress every day.
Yes, I love that because stagnant water isn't living water. Stagnant water doesn't give life. It is toxic. It's dirty energy, and we don't deserve that. We deserve to have flowing, living water, and that is what God wants. You know, God brings us spirit. Is that living water that quenches that soul thirst that we're dying from not having. Many of us are crawling in the desert looking for a drink. We're
Right.
looking for the truth. We're searching for the answer, and it lives within us each and every time. Yes, Adam, God
Yep.
does not to be stagnant. And this is what both Brittany and I teach in very different ways. We teach and bring these drinks of truth through our lenses. I'm a personal branding coach. If you don't know that, I help you build an unapologetic personal brand that gets you seen, heard, paid, and respected in the industry without feeling fake or forced. I unmute your magic and help you bring it to the screen so that you can actually call in the people who are soul aligned to you, not industry aligned to you. And Brittany, I'm gonna let you tell them what you're up to.
I say this so many different ways, but I will say in a nutshell, I help you come home to yourself and learn to love every part of you. That is really the essence of what I do. From there, then it looks like I help you learn how to make friends. I help you learn how to navigate a difficult relationship. I help you learn how to grow your business. But it's really at the foundational level, come home to yourself, love every part of you,
Yes.
and then we can go from there.
Well, and I am so glad that part of my home involves you. I'm so grateful for you, Brittany. And you guys, I will have Brittany drop her information, her pages, her connects in the comments below on the video. If you're catching the replay, thank you. We're so glad you were here, and we'll be in the comments for you guys. We're here for you. Brittany and I are close, and we're soul sisters, so we're always together. So you can always find us together doing something. So
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I've loved this conversation. I can't believe our time's up already. This has been great.
It's been an hour. Yeah. Yes, Adam. Exactly. Adam says I need to have a conversation with each of you.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, book the calls. Like, we're gonna.
Yes.
And I want to see your name on my calendar, Adam. I'm calling you out. Anybody who has heard this call and wants to connect, do not wait.
Right.
We are not going to force anything. We are going to sit with you. We're going to hear you. We're going to see you. We're going to feel you. And we're going to meet you where you are. And we're going to take you on a journey through and offer you full transparency. While we might have free calls, we will still offer you a journey to come hang on a regular basis and work with us to make these beautiful things come to life in the most magical and fun and aligned, soulful way. So guys, thank you so much for joining me and Brittany today. We hope you have a beautiful, blessed rest of your Wednesday. And next week, I am bringing on one of my brothers. I'm bringing on Dwayne Morton, and we are going to share about his journey. And let me tell you, that's a don't want to miss adventure. Because surviving a 19-year misdiagnosis by the medical industry in a massive way, being in a police-involved shooting that changed his life, and he's bouncing back and he's showing up to win. And we are building his brand one brick at a time, and I'm so excited for him to come and share his story next week. So we look forward to seeing you there. Sarah, thank you for being here. Kim, thank you for being here. Adam, thank you for being here. Anybody else who shows up, we're so glad you're here. And we'll see you next week on Unmuted and Unbothered. Have a great day, guys.